Today, I'm going to be working at a McDonald's. I'm going to be showing you guys behind the scenes of what it's actually like to work in one of these restaurants. And by the end of the video, we're going to be making 1,000 cheeseburgers for people in need, so stay tuned. Now, when I started posting videos working at Subway, I never expected there to be such a community of people at other fast food places. And so seeing these people all come together and speak with each other about their shared experience working fast food really inspired me to start this series where I try to work everywhere, literally everywhere humanly possible. And McDonald's is one of those places for me that hits pretty close to home. After football practice, or honestly any time that I didn't feel like eating Subway, because I ate Subway like every day as a kid, which I wouldn't recommend. You should get a very balanced, nutritious meal of everything, and just like you shouldn't eat McDonald's every day. But it was a really nice place to go for like that simple treat. And so anyways, after like every single football game or basketball game that we had, I would always ask my mom, can we please stop at McDonald's to get food? And it would always be the same answer, which was we could just make it at home. And that is usually what we did, but there was always just something so different about going to McDonald's. I can't even explain it. So honestly, while I was working here, it really reminded me of my childhood. I think the fact that I didn't get to eat it so much made it like such a better treat for me, because if my mom stopped every time and got me McDonald's, I'd probably be honestly probably just like so sick of it by now. But not having it always there made it just so much better. And so today, getting to make some of my favorite things at McDonald's, it was pretty mind-blowing. So as you saw earlier, we made a McDouble and we made a McChicken, which are, as Steven told me, who is the owner of this McDonald's franchise, there's some staples to the McDonald's name. It's kind of like whenever somebody doesn't know what to get, a McDouble or a McChicken, that's the go-to. And speaking of Steven, he has a pretty insane story too. Steven's a fellow YouTuber, and because of the videos he created, he was actually able to go from a restaurant worker to a franchise owner. So he worked at McDonald's basically all of his life with his wife. And so to see him go from employee to actual franchise owner, not only does he own one franchise, but he owns two. It's extremely inspiring to me, and it truly shows me like how much is possible. I feel like me and Steven really share a lot of common thoughts, because I was a worker at Subway, and because of the internet, I was able to not have to always be a worker at Subway. And similarly, Steven was able to go from a worker at McDonald's to actually owning and operating two businesses. So if there's anything I could tell you, it's believe the power of the internet. Anyways, back to our training. So far, you've seen me make the McDouble, the McChicken, cinnamon buns, which I didn't even know were a thing at McDonald's, but apparently they're delicious. Some nuggets, which those aren't much work. Obviously, you just put 10 nuggets into a box. Sometimes you put 11. I put 11. I'm an 11 guy. And now you're seeing me make some apple pies, and I just made some cheeseburgers too. One of the things I noticed while working here is that this place operates like a clean factory. Like, it's an absolute system. Everybody has a role, and everybody's able to fulfill their role very, very nicely. And you'll see that when we're making the 1,000 burgers later in the video. While I was here, somebody was working the drive-thru, and then there's a person on fries, and there's a person making the meat, and it's all just kind of preparing and making each other be in the best position possible to be able to do their job. So when you have somebody like me come in and just start distracting everybody or just getting in the way, you know, I kind of felt bad, but that's a part of training for a new job, I guess, right? Some of the technology that was at the McDonald's was pretty surprising too. It's like things I wouldn't even have ever thought of. Like, for example, the drive-thru has this automatic soda dispenser, or for example, they keep their meat in these like heated containers, and they even have like places for your food to be warm, like these like warm plates. I gotta say, working here did really remind me of working at Subway. But the biggest difference obviously between this and working at a Subway is that here you get to just be in the back focusing entirely on food, and then you could have somebody in the front focusing entirely on customer interactions. But at my time at Subway, you kind of have to do both. So it's just so interesting to see how different companies operate. Another point that I want to make is just how fast Steven is at this. It was insane to see him literally be making like 3 McChickens in the time it took me to make 1 McChicken, or making like 4 sets of fries in the time that it takes me to make 1. It's really like a superpower, and you just keep getting better and better over time. I honestly think it's like a lost art. I mean, this is cooking, and I feel like a lot of people that are working fast food, maybe one day they could become chefs, because you're working with food relentlessly, whether or not you realize it, and you're developing these skills that honestly are very helpful for being a chef. So maybe McDonald's is the ultimate stepping stone to becoming Gordon Ramsay. Who knows? As you can see right now, we're making some French fries. I want to take you guys back to McDonald's original menu, as French fries were one of the original items, and I think this is going to blow your mind. So the original McDonald's menu had 9 items. There were a hamburger, a cheeseburger, a milkshake, golden French fries as they called it, Coca-Cola, root beer, a hot coffee, orange soda, and milk. Now the cost of French fries in 1955, when McDonald's opened their first restaurant, was 10 cents. Think about that for a second. It was 10 cents. And now honestly, it varies across the country, but for a medium fries, you're looking at something like $1 to $3 now. I don't know. I feel like the McDonald's menu is the ultimate indication of how inflation is doing. That's just a random thought. But it's also really cool to see how much McDonald's stuck to their core menu. I mean, every single one of these items is still on the menu. It's also extremely interesting, the story of how McDonald's actually got started. So the founder, Ray Kroc, and the McDonald's brothers, they saw a bunch of other burger locations that obviously were around during that era, and they said one thing about these places: they are too slow. You are waiting way too long to get your food. And so they came up with the McDonald's methods for preparation. And like I said earlier, they literally built out a system so that they can make food as fast as humanly possible. Everything from day one in McDonald's was completely calculated. And at the end of the day, what they wanted was just to give the fastest and nicest possible experience to their customers. And honestly, it seems like to this day, it's still pretty true, except for taking away snack wraps and chicken selects. Please bring those back, McDonald's. But it's also pretty cool to see how like the Big Mac wasn't even one of their core items on their menu from day one. It makes you figure maybe like a new item will become their #1 menu item besides the Big Mac in like a few years. I don't know. It's kind of crazy how the menu started at 9 items and now it's close to 100 different items. It just goes to show how much evolution can happen in such a short amount of time. And now it was time for me to make my first customer order. We got an order for a quarter pounder with cheese, a double quarter pounder with cheese, and a 10-piece nuggets, and also a McDouble. Now, this would be a lot for me to remember, but luckily there's these screens above us as we're making the food that tells us exactly what goes on these items. And it also gives us the items as well, so we don't have to remember it all. It's these small things that make it so much easier, like the ketchup and mustard gun that you just saw me use. And even like the boxes, I don't know, it's just like everything is made for optimization and success here, which is just really cool to see. But I'm not gonna lie, making my first item for a customer was a little nerve-wracking. I mean, like, what if I mess this up? Even though I can't get fired technically for my first day on the job, I don't want to mess up this customer's order. But with Steven's guidance and help, it was actually pretty simple to make these items. On the quarter pounders, we grabbed 2 seeded buns. We squirt some mustard ketchup on it and put slivered onions, and then we throw on some cheese and our meat. On a regular quarter pounder, you get a quarter of a pound of meat. Go figure. And on a double quarter pounder, you get half a pound of meat. The nuggets, as I said before, pretty simple. And the cheeseburger, well, I was supposed to make 2 of them, and I only thought I had to make 1, so Steven helped me with the other one. I think I did pretty good for my first time working with a customer order. I mean, I could have been a little bit faster, but that just comes with experience and time. And now it's time to make our secret menu item. We just came up with this on the fly, I'm not gonna lie to you, but people have literally ordered this at the store, Steven said, so it was time to make this. I mean, we'll see how good it truly is. Now, the secret menu item I'm talking about is a McDouble with a hash brown, bacon, and a folded egg on it. Listen, don't knock it till you try it, okay? Now, if you're thinking to me, Milad, I'm so confused. How could you possibly call this a menu item? I tricked you. You got tricked. A customer literally ordered this. Did not have a chance to talk to the customer, but what Steven did tell me about was something very similar called a farmer special. Now, apparently it is very popular at his store and many other McDonald's for somebody to just get a cheeseburger with an egg and a hash brown on it for a morning breakfast. Like, so much more popular than you would think, like to the point where people have asked for this to be an actual menu item at McDonald's. And Steven had the idea of calling it the farmer special, so go try a farmer special. Honestly, let me know how you like it. I took a bite out of it and it was actually pretty good. I mean, I don't think I'd order it every morning to start off my day. I think that might be a little brutal, but it's like something to get every now and then just to try it. Like, yeah, absolutely, I'd try it. Now that I was almost done with my training, I had one question. Now, this question is the reason that I even came to McDonald's today. It's something that I think has been one of the biggest mysteries in the entire food world for I don't even know how long, probably since the birth of time. Why is McDonald's Sprite so much better than every other Sprite that there is? I asked Steven this. I literally asked him. I said, Steven, why do I like McDonald's Sprite so much more than anything else? And Steven had no comment. There was something being hidden here. McDonald's Sprite does something different, and so I scoured the internet. I looked far and wide to figure it out, and I think I found the answer to one of life's most prominent questions. The answer: McDonald's has their own custom Sprite. They literally are able to get their own more powerful, more juiced up Sprite than anyone else. I don't know if there's something going on behind the scenes. Maybe McDonald's has some kind of agreement with Sprite, but man, I gotta say, ultimate competitive advantage over every other food business. And so now, with my question answered, and literally the only reason that I got a job at McDonald's, and I didn't even realize that I could have just Googled it the entire time, it was now time to make 1,000 cheeseburgers. So as you can see here, we've now gone through about 60 or 70 cheeseburgers. It's literally just meat and cheese on the burger, because if we added ketchup or like onions or mustard on it, then it probably would have gotten soggy and it wouldn't last as long. Instead, we gave all of those things on the side, and just like I said earlier, we became a system of making these burgers. Steven's job was to put down paper. My friend Josh's job was to put buns into the toaster oven. Steven's job was also to put cheese on and meat on half of the burgers, because he was so well trained at this that he could literally do like 5 times the amount that anyone else could do. And there was also another Josh, who was Steven's friend, that worked at the store, that was also helping with making the buns. And my role was to put down all of the buns and put meat on half of it, and give Steven the other half to put meat on his half. So 4 people making 1,000 cheeseburgers. At the beginning of the day, we were pretty stressed out about how we were going to do this. I'm not going to lie. We were racing against the clock because I had a flight. We had to get these cheeseburgers to the foundation in time. And honestly, neither of us had ever made 1,000 cheeseburgers before, so we had no idea what this was going to be like. But the system came in so clutch, let me tell you. It was almost as if like all of our training and just like the McDonald's system itself, it all came together in one crazy crazy moment. I mean, to make 1,000 cheeseburgers just sounds absolutely insane, and it sounds like a lot of work, but to break it down into multiple parts, it actually makes it so much more manageable and so much more easy. Sort of like breaking a restaurant down into multiple parts. It's this really symbolic, weird thing. Like, in order to do this like gigantic task of making these burgers, we broke it down into many different smaller tasks, and all these tasks were very easily manageable by like any of us. So at the end of the day, we were able to make 1,000 burgers for people in need, and we were able to literally use like the McDonald's technique in order to do this. So my first day at McDonald's was a pretty big success. Watch another video and don't forget to subscribe.